you're live.
Good evening everyone and welcome to the South East Planning Committee meeting on Wednesday the 15th of October 2025. My name is Councillor Vanessa Bell and I'm the chairperson of this committee. Members, we are streaming this meeting live as well as recording, and by being present in the meeting you are giving your consent to being recorded. During each item, please put your hand up and indicate if you wish to speak. I will then invite you at the appropriate time. Please note that the YouTube live stream sound recording is dependent on the correct use of the microphones, which actually we don't have to do anything about because it's in the middle of the room. Please reference a page or paragraph number when referring to the agenda papers, and please keep your contributions as clear and concise as possible. Fire exit behind you, muster in the Barclays Bank car park. It's still there. It's called that. The ex-Barclays Bank car park, and there are no planned fire drills this evening. So straight on to apologies for absence. May I have the apologies for absence, please, Committee Clerk?
Thank you, Chair. We have received apologies for absence from Councillors Burnham and Label.
Thank you. I also have Councillor Haywood for the minutes. And talking.
Noted.
Thank you. And talking of minutes, item 3 minutes. It's recommended that the minutes of the meeting held on 17th of September, found on pages 7 to 12, are approved as a true and accurate record. I so moved. Do I have a seconder? Thank you. Councillor Neal, any amendments, anything to raise on the minutes? No, marvellous. Can we agree those by assent, please?
Agree.
Thank you. Moving on to item 4, declarations of interest. To disclose the existence and nature of any disclosable pecuniary interests, other registrable interests and non-registrable interests relating to items of business on the agenda, having regard to paragraph 9 and appendix B of the Code of Conduct for members. Members, any declarations? No. Lovely. Moving on to item 5, 00667, Burnham Waters Site Office, 1 Waters Avenue, Burnham-on-Crouch. And you can find this on pages 13 to 26. There is a members' update in relation to this application, which was circulated earlier. And I will move straight on to Mr. Purvis to present the report.
Thank you, Chairperson. Seamus, could you put the... Oh, yeah, it's got it back in there. The presentation with you. So this is the Burnham Waters site office, and full planning permission is sought for a temporary period of 3 years to use the existing site office as a joint site office and community hub. This will include the use of the building as a shop and cafe along with an office room. The proposal involves associated changes to the external appearance through changes to windows and doors. I'll come on to those plans in a moment to show you that, along with external outdoor seating, providing hard standing areas to the front of the building. There are some minor changes to the car parking layout as a result as well, and additional landscaping is proposed too. And just to remind members, there is a members' update along with this application that updates condition 3 that includes the updates that include the time period of a 3-year permission that is sought for this. So that's just getting that in there. That's the only real change to that condition from the one on the agenda. Just come on to the plans. So this is the site location plan. It's got the security office and the site office as well, access to the highway. An aerial photo of what the site looked like a while back. It's developed a bit further since then. And then a series of photos of the site. So this is the front elevation of the building. And that's the security building to the left, and another image of the building on the right. Hard standing area because that's the front or the side of the elevation of the building where the glazed gable is. That's where outdoor seating is proposed, along with the area around that flower bed, that raised beds in blue, that's behind that wall there. That's another image, gives you an indication of where the nearest residential bungalows are in proximity to the building. And we have some more images just to show us another perspective in terms of the site office is on the left, the security building is on the right. Moving on to the proposed block plan, that shows those layouts. So you'll see from what you've seen on site, some changes already happened already in terms of parking to the front of the glass gable and elevation there. That's now all hard standing area for potential use of that area for external seating and outdoor tables. Some of the parking that's been displaced is now located just to the south of that, so there hasn't been too much change in terms of parking. And then just to give you an idea of what the building was approved as, so that's gives you an idea as that the site office is approved, and that's showing proposed a bit more zoomed in rather than block plan. Give you an idea of what the layout internally looks like in comparison to previous ones. So just give you an idea, some of those walls have come down, internal walls, to allow for a more open building for the cafe community hub area. There's a commons room to the north part of that building there. Refuse to the west of the building, some refuse storage area there, which is hidden under some fenced area. And then the elevation, there's two elements of minor changes, just the windows and doors. They're hardly noticeable, to be honest with you, but there are some minor changes on there. Doesn't affect the design of the building too much. And then some landscaping plan just to show this, can't quite see it, really quite faint. There's some additional trees that are planted on the site as well. And that's to give you an idea in terms of the phase 1 approval for the reserve matter application. Just to clarify, the community hub, as you can see, is annotated on there along with where the shops are. So this is only a temporary use whilst the site needs to be developed further before those uses and buildings come forward. I'm going to do the summary. So the site is located it's outside the settlement boundary, but it is within the Burnham Water site, which already has consent, as you're aware. This proposed use, temporary for 3 years, is considered acceptable in principle and will benefit existing residents that live on site, but also could appeal to the wider community as well. Design changes to the building are very minor. They will not harm the character and appearance of the building or the locality or the nearby properties in terms of residential impact. And the scheme does not result in any highway safety issues or ecology or biodiversity issues. And the recommendation is one for approval, subject to the conditions set out in the report and revisions to condition 3 and then there's update. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you very much, Mr. Purvis. So, members, we do have public participation for this item. We have the agent, I believe, Mr. Stuart Rowe, if you'd like to approach the table.
Who would you like me?
Just Aaron Cummins.
You're on the stand or sit?
Up to you, whatever you feel most comfortable.
Thank you.
So you're quite tall, so it's probably I think you know what to do by now.
Thank you. Good evening, councillors. Good evening, Madam Chairman. I'm Stuart Rowe, the agent for the applicant, Burnham Waters. This is a simple application. It seeks a 3-year temporary permission to use the approved and constructed site office as a community hub, a shop, a cafe, a meeting place for residents of the retirement community. At present, there are 16 couples and 2 individuals living on site, so it's 34 residents in 18 homes. There's another 15 homes in various stages of the sale process. It was agreed with the council via a phasing plan that we would deliver the approved shops as the last phase of phase 1, and the reason for that is it would then have the largest residential population to serve them. They would stand the best chance of getting a sort of good occupiers for those. But it's very much a sales-driven site, and we're at the end of the sales process. You need first-time buyers and everybody else before people get to retirement properties. So we're some way off from providing the approved shops. A number of residents have asked that the site office be utilised to provide a community meeting space, just somewhere for them to buy a loaf of bread, a pint of milk. But more than that, actually, for a coffee and a cake, to meet with each other and friends. Curry evenings have been mooted, book club, that sort of thing. The office was intended to provide a space for administration of the site, but actually it's done off-site at the moment, and I think I'm told that it will be some time before they require it for on-site sort of work. So it's kind of free. The changes are small, as you've heard, a door in place for window, that sort of thing. There's some parking spaces lost, but most of the residents live within about 2-minute walk, so we don't see that as a problem. There aren't any issues insofar as I can see, and the report doesn't flag any up. So this would provide social benefits to a growing community of vulnerable people, and I hope the members are able to support it this evening. Thank you.
Thank Thank you, Mr. Ryan. Excellent time. Trust you won't be holding any murder clubs on Thursdays in this show.
Not that I've heard of, but possibly.
Thank you very much. So, members, I'll move to you. And I'm definitely by the same. So, members, we have a proposal which is to approve this this item. So, do I have a seconder?
For the debate, I'm happy to second it.
Thank you, Councillor Pratt. So, members, anything else?
Just ask a question about, just going to the conditions on page 24. So condition number 9, which talks about the premises permitted to be open. Are officers content that this is reasonable? I mean, 7:30, 11 o'clock on weekdays and 8 o'clock to 10 o'clock.
Those are the hours, I believe, that have been put forward for subject to consultation with environmental health, who didn't raise any objections to the application in terms of those hours of use that have been put forward.
So environmental health support those. So yeah, so as far as protecting the amenity of the nearby residents, well, of course it's in their best interest not to annoy them, because obviously it's the same person operating it. If environmental health are content with those hours, then I can't really see how we can object to them. But I would just say, going back to the original drawings, which is in your presentation.
Original floor plans?
Yeah, the floor plans. I can only presume that, looking at those, that the site manager is absolutely delighted that this never came forward, because his office doesn't have a door.
Reassuring that he's available.
We have the windows on the door, but we managed to, I just thought I'd let you know that. But Chairman, I can't really see why this isn't policy compliant. It is what it is. They've come, the members update shows this a more robust consideration to removing it within sort of 3 years or whatever. So yeah, I don't have any problems with this, to be honest.
Councillor.
Just to follow up on Councillor Fuka's point, number 10 is about deliveries. To me, the length of time on that seems excessive. I know that's the opening times of the shop, but it seems quite late to have them moved quite early. I don't know if there's other members' thoughts on that. If we restrict that to a
I did hope that.
if we restrict that to a bit more of a sensible time, that it isn't 11 o'clock, it could be 7 or something a little bit earlier. Obviously, they're saying there's nothing on Sundays or bank holidays, which is great, but I think delivery time should be shortened.
It's 11 o'clock at night.
I mean, all I say is the environmental health didn't object to those times, but of course, if you wanted to.
Just like personally, if someone was doing deliveries at a shop near me, it would cause me concern that we've said yes to up to 11 o'clock at night, that it just seems a little bit late.
My feeling on it is that this is a community that is managed, and that any issues that arise would be managed within that community between the managers and the residents.
Noise travels through you, Chair. There are
It
other
does,
houses that are outside this site.
That's
it
true,
doesn't all
it
revolve
does.
around Burnham-on-Crouch. There are
Yeah,
other residents with houses.
I'm just thinking of the distance, yeah.
Yeah,
That's a fair
travels.
point, that's a fair point.
Yeah.
And then we'd have to look at, I suppose,
Yeah, I agree with Councillor.
electing equipment, it's, yeah.
And night.
Members, it's a valid point. The delivery that late at night would be
Don't worry.
a concern.
Yes, do the members Bradley?
If members are so minded, we could amend those conditions. If you've got a suggested time frame.
I was going to say, what suggested time frame was you thinking?
Well, look at that, I'll literally go 8 o'clock to 8 o'clock. 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. It's 12 hour.
Okay.
I think that seems reasonable for the operation of the premises, and it's not too late for other
That's
residents.
quite long as well. I mean, if you look at many places in big towns and cities, you've only got the window in the morning. So, you know, it's still quite a big window. So members, would you be happy with that?
I just speak against sort of 8 o'clock because 7:30. I mean, that's, you know, when you're likely to have your newspapers delivered and your milk and everything else. I don't think 11 o'clock at night on a weekday, 11 p.m. is right, but I think we should be careful not to tie them too heavily to 8 o'clock in the morning.
Can I ask a question? Mum, do you remember what happened at Tesco?
7 o'clock.
It's
They wanted 6 o'clock.
Yeah, that's right.
If I may, Chair, excuse me.
Please do,
Through you, Chairman.
it's relevant.
Yes.
Yes.
And no offence.
Yes, Tesco's wanted 6 o'clock.
Yeah, we stopped.
The council, both town and district, said not before 7. They tried to slip under the wire again some years later, but it was enforced at 7.
And not till 11, they weren't allowed to deliver.
I can't remember how late they're allowed to go there.
And neither was Domino's.
No,
So it's a big
I
window.
Yeah.
If we're minded to say 7:30, then probably 7:30 at night is the window. And I look to my right to see what the agent's nodding without speaking to him.
7:30 to 7:30?
Yeah, I think that's, yeah.
So if we
I can't.
and that's 5 days a week, yeah?
Sorry.
Or did you want
sorry,
to-
Monday to Saturday, inclusive?
Well, they're not doing Sunday, so I think you just do it
Monday to Saturday.
Monday to Saturday, same hours.
Not any time on Sundays and public holidays.
Yeah, if that's what they've originally said. I'd like to keep it at nothing on Saturdays, nothing on
Nothing on
Sundays.
Sundays, no, absolutely, 100%. Members, are happy with that?
Yeah.
Councillor Bassinger, then Councillor Fitter.
I think Councillor Fitter.
Yeah, it was.
Apologies, Councillor Fitter.
Yeah, I mean, I just think I did look at that myself, and it relates to the original consent times. So it's exactly the same as the original consent times.
Right, so that would, as a site manager's office, that would work, wouldn't it? Because you'd want someone available.
No, the conditions for the community health hub and shops were those hours. But I mean, it doesn't matter if the agent's happy to change.
In a different place, though, in the original one.
Yeah, I'm just saying, that's what's happening, just keep building from what was originally. I do have a question on this. In terms of, I can understand the principle of a temporary shop and community hub. And I did look, I mean, this is tied, the actual building is tied to a condition that means it has to be restored in the original consent. But what I'm trying to understand is what is we've got 13 houses at the moment apparently so built. I mean, in 3 years there might be another, we're being told by planning policy that only 13 units per year are going to be built. Which being the case, if we're going to build 103 bungalows, then that's going to take 7 more years. And yet the consent is for only 3 years. So something somewhere doesn't add up.
Well, the consent in terms of the original outline planning commission commence within 3 years. So as long as it commenced.
Well, it's commenced. The point I'm making is that this is for 3 years. And yet, and what we're being told is that this will be, the community hub will be at the final end of the development. And we're being told that it's going to build out 13 houses per year. And there are 100 bungalows, 3 bungalows to build, which would mean it would take another 7 years to get to the point where potentially we'd have a community hub, whereas the temporary permission is only for 3 years.
You make a good point, Councillor Fitter.
So it would seem to me that something isn't adding up somewhere in terms of what's going on. And I'd also have a slight concern on how this will affect phase 2 of the development, because phase 2 of the development under the SY06 can only start when for example, the shops and community multi-usage facilities have been provided. So, if this application were to come back as a full application and permanent, then potentially or technically, then that requirement's been met, hasn't it?
That's an if.
I think it's difficult to speculate on what's going to happen in the future when we have to just consider the temporary 3-year use now. And I'm sure the agent, near the time that ends, will know where they are in terms of the development on site and other phases and things like that to decide what needs to be done with this, whether they look to get into renew the temporary or come for a full or just things have progressed further.
Okay, but that goes back to my original point, is that if we're being told that it isn't going to reach completion of that 103 bungalow for 8 years, and we've got a temporary consent for 3 years, then it's going to have to come back in one way, shape or form, so why are we moving on in the first place? What I'm saying is that what we're being told from 2 different avenues isn't equal in one's election, is it?
I totally understand the point you're making. I think the difficulty we have as officers is we've got an application in front of us at the moment that specifically requests 3 years, and so that's what we've got to determine is whether we're satisfied with the application in front of us. So, notwithstanding the point you've made about the delivery over this sort of 7-year period to get to the 103 dwellings, it is an application that we've got today for 3 years, and that's all we can go on.
Well, I guess that leads me on to my point would be, what we're saying is that, for example, for 26 or 30 buildings, that we would provide facilities outside of the normal settlement boundary. So therefore, I'm assuming because it's a retirement village, we're saying that's exempt from the sequential test. Well, it wouldn't be really, would it? The original consent was on the basis of the whole development, but now we're looking to introduce a shop in a full application into an area that isn't within the town centres.
Moving goalposts.
Well, it is a full application, but it is for the temporary period. What we're looking at is what's already been permitted on the site under the wider application in terms of the uses that have been permitted there. And our view is that we have already allowed those uses on the site as part of the wider application. This is specifically asking for those same uses, but to be used in existing buildings on the site at the moment for only a temporary period. Whether it's considered moving goalposts or not, it comes back to the principle of development has been established. This is the same uses in different buildings for a temporary period, and whether or not we're satisfied with that. From an officer's perspective, our recommendation is yes, that we are satisfied.
Okay, I mean, that's absolutely where the hillside element comes in. I wouldn't say that's an issue, but it does seem to me it's a separate development to the original development that may or may not come forward. They could decide not to implement this, couldn't they, if they wanted to?
Sorry, not to implement?
They could decide not to implement this development. You can't make the development, could you? So it's severed to the original consent.
We can't force them to deliver.
Okay, so it is a separate application.
As I said, it's a full application, but when we look at the principle of development in terms of what's been allowed there, that is why we've come to the conclusion that we have in the officer report.
Okay, and presumably you're saying that that doesn't prevent the original development bit from being developed in full, because they could it's only temporary.
That's correct.
Thank you. Councillor Bassinger.
I'm going to give way to Councillor Stan.
Councillor Stan.
Yeah, thank you. I wanted to speak really because, you know, I lose track, but I was interested to listen when it said about the guarantee. This application, according to Maldon's website, has had 39 planning applications made on this site alone. Does anybody know exactly if they have adhered to any of those planning applications without putting variations through? Because I tried to look at it to actually do a list, but it's so complicated. I think as democratically elected members, we have got a duty to represent our residents as well. And the amount of complaints that we get regarding the changes at this site since the outline planning application was granted in 2019, when there was statutory consultees, I can go to one from the Essex County Council, Right to Social Care. There was many others who actually opposed this site for reasons which I think are now coming forward.
Yep.
This site, as far as I'm concerned, when I sold temporary 3 years, my immediate, I've written it down here, what guarantee is it going to be for 3 years? Is this going to be phase 1 and chosen these units are going to just stay there, and phase 2 and phase 3 will go to normal housing? Now I know as officers it's very difficult, we have to look at But I think it needs saying, and I don't mind being quoted anywhere if it goes to the newspapers, because we've got a democratically right to represent our residents. This has got nothing, and I remember when an application number, I'm going to say it, erect a show home and sales and marketing suite from car parking lane associated hard and soft landscaping in connection to Burnham-on-Crouch retirement community development, outlined, temporary period 1 year. It was refused. They carried on and did it, and this council and enforcement didn't enforce it. So what chance have we got as members to even refuse this application? Because Malvern District Council enforcement never do it. They always allow them their variations. They turn around, they use a section 73 or whatever means that they can. And yes, we know they're working within the law, and that's the planning law. But as far as I'm concerned, it would be nice if this development actually did, when they had their pre-meets and went round the town promising dialysis machines, promising shops, promising buses, promising goodness knows what else, actually started to deliver it and stop blowing residents for bad press and publicity while these properties aren't selling. They need to take responsibility and stop. That site looks awful. That is the gateway to this town. We have worked hard to keep this town really nice, clean. You look at it, you've got billboards everywhere, you've got fencing everywhere, you've got plastic fencing on the floor, you've got hedges that don't even meet, you've got the planting is disgraceful. As you come round that final bit, we call it carbuncle, because carbuncle farm, it is shocking. I drove there the other day to take Barry to get his car done and was nearly taken out at 4:30 in my little green car from the on-site traffic coming on. They didn't stop. They pulled me out that road on Tinkershow, and if I'd been in my big black car, I'd have been hit, believe me. My husband turned around and said, I won't say what he said, but he said, did you see that? I said, see it? He nearly took me out, and I'll tell you something, he would have killed me because he was going so fast out of that exit. Now I know that's not a planning reason, but I know the gentleman is here, Mr. Holloway, and hopefully you'll take Mr. Sorry, Mr. Rose. To be honest, I don't care who it is. They're a representative of this site. Hopefully some of this goes back and they actually do listen to Burnham residents and actually start to deliver it. I'm sorry it's a bit of a rant, and thank you for doing it, but it needs saying.
Thank you, Councillor.
Thank you for letting me go.
I'm going to go to Councillor Bassenger, then Councillor Cyril Norman.
Thank you, Chair.
Councillor Bassenger.
Well, my concern is probably quite irrelevant compared to the rest of the arguments, but I believe we've lost some of the parking spaces in relation to this, from what I got from the presentation.
Yes, it's also laid out in the report as well. I think there's a loss of a few spaces, and there's 21. 21 spaces will be provided for this use, and there's a plan that shows the parking as proposed, as something that's been implemented.
Because I mean, it has been sort of noted that this new shop or whatever community is not just for Burnham Waters. It would be for the wider community, would it not, or is it solely for Burnham Waters?
I think the intention is for residents of the site, but yes, it could be used by people outside of the site.
That's not what the gentleman said. He said it was for outside the residents who use it when he did his speech, did he? No. That's what I heard.
It's got a cocktail bar.
Councillor, sorry.
No, so have we established that it is for the wider community, or is it solely for Burnham Waters?
It's for both, as I understand
You
it.
nod, Mr. Rowan.
So consequently, should there be a rush for cakes and coffee and tea and biscuits, which we are led to believe there could be, would that be sufficient parking, do you think, to serve the community?
In short, yes, it's been assessed from that point of view in terms of the parking side of things. There's no objection from the County Highways Authority in terms of that, and it's two spaces under the standards, but that's not considered to present an issue because, again, the likely demand is from people on site, and if the people on site, they could access the site without necessarily giving them their cars.
And I think one of the other sort of reasons for this is, again, that it would serve the wider community as a shop and as a meeting place. and all of those sort of things.
It can do.
Which, again, I find very difficult to believe because, you know, with 13 houses, actually, or how many there are, I think it was 13 that the gentleman said were sold, I think, I cannot see how this is an asset to the wider community, to be honest, in any form, whether it's a cafe or whatever they call it. I mean, it's going to be a restaurant out there, but a cafe. I mean, we've got umpteen cafes along the road, the B. 10, half a dozen along that road, all of them are empty. You know, I mean, I just cannot see what the asset to the wider community of this would be. So those are the concerns. I think there are two aspects there. I'm not sure there's enough parking to serve the wider community should they en masse turn up, and nor can I believe that anyone would go there really. So there are 2 points which I feel like I'm still uncomfortable with.
So they'll be competing with the Park Cafe just across
They
the road
would be
there.
Let's
Established. So I don't think we need to worry about that. Councillor Civil Norman was next. Councillor Civil Norman.
Yes, thank you. I'm old enough to actually be here when they made an application to have a marina and an area where they wouldn't take anything away from the town. They wouldn't have facilities that would take people away from the town. It all became obvious that they had no intention of doing it. In fact, now there's a beautiful cafe, restaurant down there, it's brilliant. Oh yeah, I like it, understandably. But however, the original was that nothing would happen there that would take anything away from Burnham-on-Crouch's seafront. Now, I see this as a community centre. In fact, are they going to ask people from the town to go down and have tea and coffee down there when it's open? I said, they can't not, can they?
Would they want to, Councillor Civil Norman?
The problem is, I don't agree. I agree with everything that Councillor Stamp said because she's voicing what the rest of the town believe, and I believe. And I think that, to be honest, it's just one step more in doing something that we don't all want. Thank you.
Councillor Flew.
Yeah, thanks, Chairman. I can't remember who was at the planning training the other evening.
Still waiting for the PowerPoint.
Yeah. Well, when you get it, you'll see there that.
We can still comment.
No. I know. But commercial competition is not a reason to refuse a patent application. That's as simple as that. So you really just got to deal with it on the face. I've just done a quick comparison on Tesco's next door. Is it next door? Next door, where are we? Yeah, that way. Tesco's next door, their floor area in relation to their car parking, which is pretty abysmal if anyone's been in there when it's quiet. Yeah, I mean, I can understand why Mr. Purvis says it meets the standards, because it certainly does. I'm surprised Tesco's does, but that's something else, isn't it? But, yeah, I mean, I can hear what Councillor Fittick says, but I'm far more comfortable with this as a 3-year temporary, because what we could find, if this wasn't a 3-year temporary application, this could actually become the shop for the whole site, and then where the shops are actually allocated to could become something else, so that would concern me enormously. But this is only 3 years. I agree with comments about enforcement. That's something that I've taken up elsewhere, and I'm sure you have, but we've just got to take this, we've really got to take this planning application on the merits that are in front of us. But yeah, there's some valid comments made, that it's what it is.
Councillor Fittick, thank you, Councillor.
Yeah, I mean, I'm aligned with Councillor Fluke on this in many ways, and I guess the point I was trying to understand was that this is coming as a full application which becomes severable to the rest of the development, and or then can be, if you like, put forward again for a permanent benefit. So I'm trying to understand why this would be done via a full application rather than an amendment to the existing conditions or drawings that we've got, which then would make it part of the overall development, which we'll have to switch back to actually be able to allow it to actually build out as originally consented to. That's what I'm trying to understand. I mean, is there any particular reason why it couldn't come in as an amendment of some sort of variation as opposed to full application?
Can I ask a question? That's a very good point. Is it a standalone application?
Yeah.
And the condition is only 3 years,
Yeah.
so it will be able to. So brilliant. So we guarantee, and I know you said crystal balls and everything. I'll have a £5 bet here. 3 years' time, it will come back, and it won't be 3 years.
I mean, aside, I just trying to understand from a planning perspective
Well, it won't be here.
why it couldn't be just a variation or an amendment to an existing, but as opposed to a full application. It seems a bit odd to me, but I'm not an expert.
I think the process would be, normally for all these types of temporary use, they all follow full planning applications rather than trying to vary an existing condition or something like that, which is a far more complex way of doing it. It's, as a standalone application, much cleaner and clearer for everyone to understand it, because it's only a temporary permission for 3 years. It's very clear after 3 years it then falls away, and you haven't got any worries or issues in terms of other conditions or on existing consents in terms of how that's can be managed and achieved. And what most importantly, I mean, condition 3 is the one that requires the use and the building, the use to be discontinued after 3 years and the building then restored.
Well, actually what it says is that before the expiry date of the strict in accordance with the scheme previously submitted and approved in writing by the planning before Rimos, unless before that date a formal application for the continuation of use has been approved by a local authority.
I've come on to that bit.
So it's not an automatic 3 years and it stops, and it'd be quite possible, and I'm not saying it'd be wrong, it would be quite possible for the principle of consent to be deemed, because the right of full application would be permanent. Given the fact that it's severable, it won't affect the primary development, will it? In as much as that we've already granted consent, which then I'm trying to understand why it has to be a full application rather than amendment or variation. You sort of explained it because it's simpler, but it also, if you like, doesn't quite fit right with me. But if you say that's standard, I'll accept that.
Is it 3 years? Is it always standard then? Because if it is, why have we always gone through variation in section 173? This application's got more, I've learnt more in planning terms and training with this application and Googling to what all these things mean, and officers delegated, don't want members to be involved, than ever before. Because I think I can't say the word, engage, use it, I'm going to say it. They have used everything in the planning A to Z, haven't they, to actually bring these applications on this application site. So I totally agree with Councillor Fitter. It's just another way, and I'm sorry, members, in a second. It says in black and white 39 planning applications. And what have we got 13 bungalows so far?
Can I come back? I mean, I didn't mean to start holding this. In as much as I can see what's trying to be achieved here, I mean, I suppose we've got to disassociate the disappointments of the previous consents, because obviously the original consent was that there would be 103 bungalows, 55 independent living units, 8 key workers dwellings, and a care home, a 70-person care home. Well, those are the prime, and obviously affordable housing. 55 affordable housing units supplied with living. Now, slowly but surely, it has disappeared. We've lost the primary reasons for consent in terms of the independent living. We've lost the affordable housing as that part of development. We have no care home. And now we have an application come forward that says we want to have a temporary use of a facility for shops. Well, taking that aside, obviously what I'm trying to understand is that, to me, the temporary usage I can understand. I can't understand why it need to be done for such a small number of people, given what we're being told by other planning officers as to the longevity of the development. It doesn't seem to mix to me. So it's really easy. If it was going to be 100 units in the next couple of years, and they're waiting, for the premises to be built, I could see that would be a justifiable consent in terms of helping the developer along to get it moving, but it doesn't seem to me to be the benefits of that, despite the fact that we've already consented to a larger development with those facilities. That's where I'm struggling in terms of the planning benefits, and I'm trying to understand the differences between it coming forward as some kind of amendment or variation versus a full application that severs it away from the original consent. That's, I mean, but if you're saying that is a standard practice, then personally, I think it would be unreasonable not to support the proposal as long as we have assurances, and I'd like it all minuted. I'm not that it will never come forward, but this is the standard way of doing things, and I don't sort of find that in 2 weeks' time it's not the standard way of doing things, because I'd be deeply disappointed.
Yeah. If I can come back, thank you. What we're looking at here is a use for a temporary period. If we were to go back to the existing permission and the reserved matters applications, it's all about the operational development and the type of uses proposed. When we have a specific use that's proposed, it does make sense that it's a standalone application, because it is in its own right a form of development and being the use of those buildings for a set period of time. So in terms of the process, I think it is the right process to have gone through. It is a period of 3 years. We cannot give an assurance that after that period of time they're not going to come back for a further 3 years or a permanent use of the buildings. We just can't give those assurances, and the planning system allows for these. That's why we've had variations on the site, non-material amendments, other applications, because that's what legislation allows for. And we're in a position where an application submitted is we need to determine it as it's been submitted. And again, this one has been submitted as a full standalone application for the temporary period, and that's, as officers, the advice we've given you is recommending approval. If members aren't satisfied with that and don't think there's the demand or need for it, then it's within your gift not to approve it. As is every application.
Not anymore, you'll have a break. But may I just,
Yes, you may, Councillor.
I'm so surprised the officers haven't said what I was expecting them to say. We can only go on the application that's before us. All the innuendos and hopes and thinks and whats and mights are probably true.
Mrs. Bradley did say that.
Okay, I didn't hear, I'm sorry.
She did
But
say that.
looking at this, there's 13, 20 houses with residents, they need a shop. We will put on there for 3 years. Now, in 3 years' time, they may say there's still only 13 houses because we haven't sold any, but we are going for planning permission to build 150 breeze block mansions.
Those are the days.
But we cannot look. So, for my part, I'm quite happy to support the officer's recommendation, and we've talked about it, and I would suggest we put the question.
I think it's important that we talked about it, Councillor Brown.
Absolutely.
I agree with you. I think it's important that we head Councillor Stanley and Councillor.
Just one final thing. Based on, I totally understand what everybody's saying, but based on what Councillor Pratt's just said, the development across from me and the one behind and the other ones that have come forward don't have a shop. They've got far more houses on it, so why should we set a precedent for 13 retirement bungalows outside the village envelope to have a shop and everything just for them? How are they more special than the rest of the residents in this beautiful town?
Only because they're further away, a lot further.
Well, that's not my problem, I just prove it. But the thing is, what I'm saying is it's not far away. There isn't a footpath that you can walk there. We've proved it. When everybody walked and tried to get wheelchairs, I walked with the high-waist eyes because I was unsure about the safety of the road and everything. So, sorry, I'm keeping Councillor Fluker from his midnight economy, aren't I, Councillor Fluker?
It's just night time, not midnight. Sorry,
chairperson, but I think we can refuse this. This isn't within our gift. And, you know, to
We
say
will have to go to constitutional break.
then we would go to a constitutional break, but there we would go. So
I'm going to cancel civil law, sorry Councillor, I'm going to cancel, and then we're going to take a vote on this.
What's the start people thinking it's for the public to come around the bend and think, oh, we haven't had a cup of coffee lately, we're going there.
Nothing, but highways are happy with it, Councillor Civil Norman, so.
No, I'm not worried about the highways, I'm thinking about the fact that in fact we're going to put another retail area on that road. And I don't think it's better safe in fact, but however that's my
Let's go to the vote, we have a
Can I
vote.
just, one quick thing, sorry.
Very
I mean, obviously, look, permission is granted to have a retail element on this site, and I think that's probably what any expects to look at straight away. But my other point is, really is just to make sure that the applicant complies with the parking standards, SPD, in relation to their parking, and they actually install their EV charging points. You've run this, Mr. Purvis, but when you read the policy, it seems to me that in the garden suburbs in Malden, they've swerved all their requirements under the SPD. So anyway, I'm looking forward to it.
could I just note that as with parking requirements, this is not just a shop, this is a community centre as well. So
We have to advise that it meets the standards.
It does meet, there's no mention.
Meets the SPD, doesn't it? It's slightly, I apologise.
Just confirming
It is slightly.
it is slightly different
Because it's a temporary, that's not considered.
2 spaces short.
2 spaces.
Expert. Put the wire in.
So we're 2 spaces short.
2 spaces under the maximum.
Councillor Freeman's made a good point. Can that be conditioned to have electrical
Well, we
charging?
might be able to know.
It already was, wasn't it, in the
Is it in there?
application?
Well, this is a standalone application, so we'd have to add it to the
That's right.
task.
Isn't it the electric
Yeah.
charging points in
Or-
the cafe shop?
or at the condition.
It's not time to charge again.
It might not be, that's through your channel.
I think we could be on.
But I just,
Be on
it's,
to
I
get
think it's
something.
a good thing, isn't it? I'm looking forward to the vote in a second.
That can be argued that it's unreasonable, to be honest. And I'm just being realistic with that, really. Members, let's take a vote. So all those in favour of the recommendation to approve, please raise your hands now. And that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And all those against, that's 3 against. So members, that is the application to approve. So that brings us on to item 6, any other items of business? That chairperson decides is urgent and I have none. Pleased to know. Members, I will close the meeting now at 20:18. Thank you very much.